So I'm like a little bit fangirling right now.
Nice.
I'm here with Philip Bowen, and I have been following your music since like deep in the woes of the pandemic. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like that's kind of when I you really took off and folks started,
Mhm.
listening to your music for comfort and for
Yeah,
feeling like they had some connection to home because I was stuck in DC. I couldn't go home very much. My
yep,
parents were in like a category, they were immunocompromised and I was immunocompromised. And so your music was like such a balm for me. And so
yeah.
I'm thrilled for you to be on the show. So welcome,
Oh
Philip,
man,
to the show.
high praise. That's very nice. Thank you, and I'm happy to be here. And yeah, like I think that was the obviously COVID was not a great thing in a lot of ways, but for creatives in some ways, like for me, I was forced to start doing stuff online, and it literally like changed my whole life. So it's really nice to hear you say that. So I appreciate it.
I'm excited to hear about how it changed your life. But first, I think people just want to know a little bit more about who you are and where you grew up and
Sure.
how Appalachia has shaped you.
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in a small town called Montgomery, West Virginia, like 30 minutes from Charleston. So it's like this little town is half in Kanawha County and half in Fayette County. And so a very small town, a couple thousand people. And I grew up, like a lot of people like playing music in church, and my dad did the music at our church growing up. And I actually learned the fiddle from a music professor at West Virginia Tech that used to be in Montgomery, and he was an oboe player. But I wanted to learn the violin. So he told my mom, he's like, well, I could teach him, anyways. So I used to go to Vandalia gathering every year in Charleston,
Amazing.
and it was so good for me and my ear because you just kind of walk up to these groups of musicians playing, and you just kind of sit in. You like my dad be like, just play along with them, and so you're figuring it out and how to listen to other people. So I think one language that we speak really well in this part of the country in Appalachia is like music and like that
Mhm.
storytelling vibe. And so I don't know, like it always has stuck with me and resonated with me. My family is all still in the Charleston and Montgomery area on my side. And yeah, so I've played the violin slash fiddle my whole life. I picked up the guitar in college, started songwriting in college and stuff like that. And so that's me in a nutshell. But I have those like, I guess Fayette County, that part of the state, as my roots.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I that makes me really happy. I live in Charleston, so
Nice,
yeah, I'm coming to you live from Charleston.
excellent.
That's awesome. That is really cool. I think that I agree with you. I think that storytelling and that kind of intergenerational passage of the art form from one generation to the next is so vital to like
Totally.
what we do here. And so I really value that. I think that that's really awesome. So you grew up playing music in church.
Yep.
But what are your like musical roots? Like what did you listen to growing up that kind of inspired what you do today?
It's very vast. So like I come from, as you probably know, there's a lot of Lebanese in Charleston. So my mother's side
Mhm.
is all Lebanese. And so growing up, like I have a huge family. It's like my big fat Greek wedding. So, shout out to all the Murads and Ayubs and everybody in the Charleston area. But we also had a lot of like, so we have a big loud Arabic family, and we also had a lot of like Jewish family friends, just because the cultures are so similar. And I think people would be surprised about how like diverse the Charleston area is sometimes, like between the Indian community, the Lebanese community, the Jewish community, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
I have on that side all that like ethnic stuff happening, and then my dad's side is just West Virginia, like country, So we
Yeah.
have people saying like hummus with like the Appalachian accent. You want some more hummus and bread? That kind of like my grandma would talk. So like all this like mishmash of culture was also a big whatever you want to say, of music. So
Yeah.
like my mom like was like a freak for Broadway, like loves Broadway and Barry Manilow. So like I remember hearing those people in the house. But my dad, I have him to thank for like all this like old country, like old folk, kind of music. And one of my best friends, his dad was like a huge Dan Fogelberg fan, and so he used to have all this like kind of hippies folk Americana playing in their house too.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know, like one of the things I love about that kind of music, especially with its like first cousin of like gospel and bluegrass, is that it's so much you have to learn how to improvise and things like that. And
Yeah.
you hear people's different, okay, Uncle so and so plays it different than this guy over here. So like how are they doing it? Like all those things. So that's probably a very long answer to your question. But
No, I
that
think
is
that's an awesome answer. It's
that
not
it's
what I
like all of
expected.
that. It's all of that. You know what I mean? And so like I'm very eclectic in what I enjoy. And I
Yeah.
think it helped me my mind to be open to how can I use this instrument, the violin, to do things maybe a little bit differently than what people are expecting from it, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, I think that that's totally valid and that shines through in your work because you add fiddle to songs that people would never have
Yeah.
expected. And I
Yeah.
think that having the breadth of knowledge and the depth of experience that you are talking about there, that the only somebody who's been exposed to all of that can do what you do. And so your work is not only high caliber, it's totally addictive. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
you could scroll on your page forever. I encourage anybody who's not done that to just do it because it'll make your day better. But what do you think that it is about your videos that draws people in, that makes them come back?
Well, I think, and I do not want this to sound cringy at all, but I will often have people send me these messages on Instagram or in the comments or whatever. And they really enjoy the music, but they feel like that the videos emanate joy. And so I feel like for a lot of people, like that, like music is my, besides being with my family and my wife and kids and stuff, like music is my favorite thing. And it's the most fun to, I can't believe I get to do it, for a living. And so like the biggest joy as a musician is seeing people emote through your music, like seeing that your music is affecting them, or maybe like if you're playing a song you wrote and they're connecting with the lyrics and you kind of see that little tear in their eye. Like that's the best feeling because you have that. There's no other connection like that in the world. And so I don't know, I think people they feel like it's genuine and they connect with it, and they, because you don't, I had somebody tell me a long time ago, like as a musician, you don't want listeners as much as you want fans. And that particular F word, all that means is that it's somebody that is like more than just, they're not just there for like this one song of yours they like. They're there for like the whole journey. They like
Yeah.
what you bring to the table. And so that from the beginning has been my mantra. It kind of goes where it goes. I just want people to have a good time and like kind of get on board with what I'm doing and just have a good time while they're listening and everything.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that there is this joy in the way that you play and in your music and just the way that even like the clear fun that you're having
Yeah.
while you're remixing songs
Yeah.
is so evident.
Well, thank
So
you.
you've been a musician for a long time.
Yes.
You talk about that on your page. You used to play a bunch of weddings and before you
Totally.
really broke out.
Yeah.
So what kind of, I mean, the particular style that you do now is pretty
Uh-huh.
unique and it's different than I would say like a normal journey of a musician.
Yes.
So I would love to hear you talk a little bit about that transition from like, hometown musician,
Yep.
wedding band to celebrity
Man.
musician on TikTok.
Okay, so as a kid, excuse me, as a kid, we used to play like at my grandma's like women's club meetings, and then we would like play at weddings. And you play one wedding, you play a million weddings. So a lot of times in the summer, while my friends were working at whatever the mall or whatever, like I'd make all my money just playing weddings with my siblings. And we had a little band called Strings and Ivory because my brother plays the fiddle, my sister plays the piano. And then like a lot of people in college, I had like two two college bands. One was called Yesterday's Tomorrow, Yesterday's Tomorrow, and the other one was called like 5 Mile Drive. And we used to just like, I went to college in Tampa Bay in Florida, so we used to
Mm,
go play like at all the coffee shops and like the little like beach, like their little open bar areas like by the sand on Clearwater Beach. And so loved doing that. And then like life happened, so I went and
yeah.
I had a lot of friends that were doing the music thing for a job right out of college, and they were doing this starving artist routine, and I was like, it was scaring me to death. And I was like, I don't know, I think I'm gonna end up hating music if I do that. And so I went and got my master's degree in marketing because I wasn't ready for the real world, and I knew I wanted to try to do something in marketing. And so, anyways, get married, have kids. I'm working in the corporate world doing weddings for extra money. And then kind of going into 20 like the middle of 2019, I went to Nashville for this like musicians conference. And on the way home, I was like, I've got to give this like one more try. Like this is what I'm meant to do. I
Yeah.
really believe that. And so I've still got it on my desk. I wrote something down. I was like, okay, create every day, even if it's something small. And I legit did that since like September of 2019. There hasn't been a day that went by that I haven't touched music in some capacity. And so, you know, when COVID happened, I was about ready to go start trying to like play local areas here around Detroit and then go try to go to West Virginia and like some connections I knew and like, okay, maybe I'll try to go play at the Purple Fiddle in Thomas or whatever. Just try to go to the places that I know. And then the world shut down. So I started doing it
Yeah.
online. And that is what changed my life is I was doing it like from my iPhone, no lights or studio or microphone. And I did it the first time and I had a couple thousand people come to this live, and I did it the next day. And over the course of an hour, I had 320,000 viewers over like an hour. And I was like, and this was on Reddit at the time. This was the only thing I knew about streaming. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I had to get my stuff together because people were like, well, how do we tip? Like, where's your Spotify? Blah, blah, blah. Like, how do we follow you? Like, where's your album? Blah, blah, blah. And so, like, that kind of helped me kick into gear and be like, all right, I need to like get legit with the way I structure my stuff. And so that was
Yeah.
like a turning point where stuff started really becoming more of like, this could be fun. And like, oh, this is like, this feels like it's like happening. And then a lot's happened since then, but that was kind of like the impetus of like, okay, I'm really going to go after this and make it happen.
Yeah, I really want to go back to what you said about how you might have ended up hating music had you gone
Yes.
down the same
Yes.
route that maybe a few of your other friends have gone down. And I've seen that. I come from a very musical family. My
Mm-hmm.
dad has a Grammy. I mean,
He
we
rocks. Yeah.
bluegrass music is like it's the whole thing for me.
Yeah, totally.
um so I would love to hear, like, how do you keep that love? How does it not turn into a job?
Mhm.
Because music is so, it's so mixed with a musician's identity and their joy and who they are, but also tied to your money and the
Yeah.
ability to pay your rent and those kinds of things. And, if you had advice for young people coming up who want to be musicians, I mean, what would you say?
Yeah, I think that's like stuff that I've had to learn along the way. And I think that one of the biggest blessings of doing it at the time I'm doing it is that one, I like had the corporate job that where it was I was working from home. So like I wasn't having to like make money during a live show to pay my bills or like to get the kids clothes or whatever. So like
Mm-hmm.
that was helpful. And I know that was like obviously that's like a benefit. But I would say in terms of advice is I would say like do not wait till circumstances are perfect to try to get going because like I said my in fact one of the songs of mine that I released that has the most streams is I did that completely from like this is not the way you record a song and I didn't know what I was doing. I did like 11 different video like one takes of me on an iPad playing the guitar part singing all the different parts playing the different parts, then I mashed it together in iMovie, cut it up, added some reverb from this like Korean app. It didn't even have English in it. And I was like, okay, that sounds decent, like a live recording. And I just needed to get something on Spotify because everybody was asking me. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say stuff on social media like, all right, almost done in the studio. And like the studio was like my spare bedroom. Like I was trying to like my iPad kept breaking because it was so old. And anyways, but like if you wait till the conditions are just right and you've got all the things, like okay, I've got a mic now, and now I've got the camera, and now I've got this connection, and now I'm making a lot of money off of my royalties. That never happens. Like I'm in year 3 of like doing this a lot, like thousands and thousands of hours of live shows I've done online and stuff like that. So I've learned a lot every single time.
Yeah.
But from a monetary standpoint, I think it's a great time to be indie because you can do so much for yourself in terms of like when I first was starting out, like I would do a live show, let's say a 2-hour show. And after the show, I would block an hour on my calendar for what I would call homework. And every single person that donated to my show, I would send them an email and be like, thank you. Here's how you can check out the rest of my stuff. It means the world to me. follow me here and you can listen again. And I would do
Yeah.
that for literally for every single donor that would send me $1, $2, $20, whatever. And like, I don't, cause I was really wanting to build the community. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I was like, wow, like I used to get done with the show. I'm like, well, I got 10 new followers on Instagram. Amazing. 10 new fans, and that was like a grind to just get to like 1,000. And
Yeah.
so anyways, there's no substitute for the work, I guess, is like what I'm saying. But you just gotta you gotta pull it in from different ways, get creative with it, and take it
Yeah.
one step at a time. Do what you do. Do what you can do every single day and just build it a step at a time.
Yeah. Take nothing for granted. I love that.
Yeah, for sure. For
S-
sure.
So now you are back doing live performances. You have
Yes.
a couple dates on the calendar. You're also doing live streams.
Yep.
So what is that like being out there as like Philip Bowen now?
Yeah.
You're doing something different than, Strings and Ivory, or,
Uh-huh.
you're doing something a little,
Yeah.
it's more
Yeah.
tied to you as a person. What is that like?
It's very surreal. I will tell you, like, I recently did something with a WVU and their football program, and I was at the game, and then I played at the game, and then like it was so surreal. Like, I mean, I couldn't. I don't want that to sound the wrong way, but like I kept getting stopped over and over for like pictures and things like that, and that started happening, especially over the last year. Like, especially when I'm traveling, like if I'm in the airport or if I go play a private event, there's always people that will come up and ask for a picture or just want to chat or whatever, which is really cool. But it's very surreal too, because it's like, whoa, like I had the pleasure last year or this year. I played at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, which was a huge deal.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
got
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. I got invited to go as like a feature performer, so I got to play like 7 originals, and then a month later I got to play at Third and Lindsley. So this is like two kind of iconic Nashville
Yeah.
venues. And at the Third and Lindsley show, I was playing my song Stella, and I got to the chorus and I was doing something extra instrumental. And somebody in the crowd that was not my family, like jumped the chorus and started singing me the lyrics. And I was
Wow.
like, I almost started crying. I was like, what? Like, and people knew the lyrics. And I was like, what? Like, so it's very much a joy for me. It truly is. Like, there's nothing like playing in front of people, like in a real room with that energy coming back at you. And so I've done I do a lot of private events. I like that because of my family schedule. And then sometimes, like, if an artist I know is in town or they want to collab on a few dates, I'll play with the band for a few dates or something, or I'll figure all that out. But it's just it's so much fun.
That's awesome. That is really, really cool that you were able to do that. So you do write your own music, you release your
Yeah.
own music.
Yeah.
If there was a particular message or something that you want to convey, an emotion or something that you want to get out to the world with your music, what is that?
Well, I would say in general, I try to my grandmother used to tease me that I was a glass 3/4 full person. Like, I'm an optimist to a fault, like, for sure. And so, specific to our region, like Appalachia, our home state, like anybody that's from Appalachia gets like really obviously, like, I don't know, like a silly example, like you see something like hillbilly elegy come out and you're like, ugh, ugh, like, you're like, oh man, please, no, like that this is what you're showing, like this is what you show. and
Right.
and so, like, I don't know, my goal is like, I don't ever want to ignore that, like what makes Appalachia. Like, we have problems like everywhere else,
Yeah.
but I try my best to really focus on that human, the positive elements of just like a life. Like, it's not that I never write a sad song, but I try to write what I know, so like I don't know, like I'm recording my album like next week in Bridgeport. I'm gonna do some of it in Bridgeport and some of it in Nashville because I wanted to do a bunch of it in West Virginia. And I have this song I wrote and it's called Vampire in Appalachia, and it's literally about how I feel like as a local sometimes when you're here, that there's this like vampire of like these companies that come in and just bleed us dry and then they leave and take all the money with them. And
Mm.
then we also have this like horrible, not to bring it down, but this like opioid epidemic, which is it's just such a cancer. It's so bad. And
Yeah.
like, I have family and friends that have been affected, and I've been at funerals of people that I loved that like it's like, who even is that person? Like,
Yeah.
it's happened so fast. And so like I'm like, I think that's gonna be maybe like the title song on my album, because it's just I don't know, I just feel like it's so important to focus on what makes us positive, but also to like realize that, like, you know, I don't know, we just have so much to offer, and somebody tells you something enough and you start to believe it. I feel like it happens here sometimes. We're
Yeah.
like, oh well, maybe we are just this, or maybe we are just that. And it's no, it's not true. Like, there's so much more, and there's good that's happening. So if I can like shine a little bit of light on the good, to especially my home state. Like, I'm so passionate about West Virginia and like where I grew up and my friends and family there. So like that's my thing, but also just life in general. I just get tired of I get tired of getting beat up by negativity like everywhere you look all the time. So I try to.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're totally right that we have been told this narrative about ourselves and about who we
Yes.
are. And that's something we try and talk about a lot on the podcast, to try and
Yes.
counter that narrative, and to, we want young people to stay in
Yeah.
Appalachia. If
Yeah.
but like, we understand, like, my co-host is an expat because he couldn't make it work here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's so much that's wonderful about this place. And I up and moved my husband, who is like a Bethesda, Maryland boy, all the way out here to West Virginia.
That's awesome. That's
and
awesome.
and this is my heart too. And so I think
Yes.
that message of ensuring that, even though there are bad things, there are bad
Yes.
things everywhere,
True.
but we have to be able to be excited about the potential in the future of Appalachia. And
Yeah.
I do think that is really cool about your music. And I cannot wait to hear that song. I
Yeah.
think it's a great metaphor. It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
the extraction economy, just like it is a vampire that's
Yeah.
sucking our lifeblood.
That's honestly the hook of this song. Like, the way that the chorus ends is like, there's a vampire in Appalachia and we're running out of blood. And that's like, that is like I wrote that song with Ryan Laughlin, who's a Charleston native as well. We wrote it
Yeah.
together in Nashville when I was down there when I played the Bluebird. And I was like, dude, I want to play this song. And you let me know if it's like, if you think it's like cheesy, or he was just like like, he's like, let's finish it. So he got me finish it, but it's done by two artists from the area. And I agree with you that like that whole extraction economy and stuff like that, but that doesn't have to define like who we are. Like,
Yeah.
and we have all this beauty here, like, that we don't need to like I'm not like a political person at all, but like like we have this beauty that we don't need to rip out of the earth. We have plenty of other things going for us. And if we have to find something in our region that is our calling card. And
Yeah.
that's not to discredit anybody that's done the very hard, life altering work of being down in those mines, like pulling out that black gold. Like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
But we have to find something that is like our calling card, that is prosperous for like the long run.
Yeah, I'm with you. And one of those things I hope is our music. I think that
Totally. Yeah,
we
totally.
have something so unique and so special. And
Yep.
for me, bluegrass and folk music, there's just nothing else like it. When I
No.
when I
Yeah.
hear bluegrass music, I feel it in my very soul. And I feel like
Yes.
that's something that, a lot of other music doesn't really touch these days. And then you take somebody to a bluegrass concert. Like, I don't know if you've ever taken someone to a bluegrass concert for the very first time,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
they
it's amazing.
experience that, and they
They're like,
experience what it's like to
yeah.
be there in person feeling that. And it's like life-changing.
It totally is. And I think it's two reasons. One is like the skill that it takes when you see these great musicians like improvising with each other, and you're like, oh, that's so rad, like that's cool, like they're talking, it's like you're having a conversation with the song,
Hmm.
with the instruments. And two is like, the reason that Americana and folk and stuff is so good is because it's the storytelling,
Yeah.
right? It's not just like whatever, like, and no offense to anybody that does like pop or pop country, like that's all wonderful, but it's
Yeah.
like, it's so much more than just like, she does this and I do that. Let's pack up the truck. It's way more. It's like these deep, long stories. And
Yeah.
like my friend Charles Wesley Godwin, he's from West Virginia. He's an amazing storytelling musician. Like, Sierra Farrell's doing great things.
Oh,
John R. Miller. Like,
yeah.
there's so many great artists from this state, like, who are telling like really amazing stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sucks people in, is that like,
Totally. And you can feel your papa's spirit in the
yes,
songs. It's like
100%.
I
That's
love that.
100%. That's 100% it. Because that's how you used to like learn stuff. Like, you hear like whatever generation before you know this song. That's how people used to teach me fiddle tunes. It's like you heard this tune or whatever, and that's just like that's how I play it. Now you play it.
Yeah,
Now make it your own. So it's a
that's
beautiful thing.
awesome.
Yeah,
So, what are your goals for your music? And if you have plan, I mean, this record that's upcoming
yeah,
is very exciting.
yeah,
And so I imagine that's definitely in your plans.
yeah.
But
That's a big one.
let's hear what the goals and plans are.
Goals and plans are it is a life goal of mine. I think this one's going to happen. I really want to like I want to get the record done and like just release a body of work. I've released a bunch of singles and stuff like that, but this is like a body of work. I would love in terms of like venues, I really would love to play Mountain Stage sometime. So like that would be like a dream come true because it's like, home
Yeah.
state, hometown. I also would love to play at the Opry, like to stand in like the circle and like play a song that I wrote like in the circle. That would be like a dream come true. But really my goal, my short-term goals for next year is like release this album, get it out the door. I'm planning on doing a lot more like in-person shows. Like I love corporate events because they, it's like it's easy travel. They have budget. Like it's a
Yeah.
great way. It's a great way to do it. You're not like you're out in the back of a van for 3 weeks. It's really nice. And then I want to do like I'm planning on some like kind of like mini like regional tours where like let's say
Mm.
like Southeast do like 4 or 5 dates, then go home for a little bit, and then go out west and do 4 or 5 dates. So I'm trying to work through all of that and just this because this is like the first year where really like my music busyness and work like has surpassed what I was doing in the corporate world, and so like where like I was double dipping as long as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So I still have a little toe in there to like for insurance and stuff like that, but like I music has become so big, which is what that's what you want. Like
Yeah.
if you can like legit support your family and do your music, it's what a joy. Like it's the absolute best. So
Yeah.
my plans are just to like
What does your family think, by the way? I mean, they've got to
they're
be like totally stunned and excited.
yeah, I mean it's so fun. Like my mom is like, of course, like biggest fan. Like she, like, and then a lot of that family. My kids are fairly young. I have like two girls and a boy, so they're like 9, 6, and 2, and so like they like love it. They think it's so silly. Like I've been with them. We like for example, we were in like the city in Florida for spring break, like a little family trip, and we were all playing at the park. And this is one of the first times this stuff like started happening. And this other family was there, and the husband was like looked at me, he's like, "Hey man, I'm really sorry, but like you're Philip Bowen, right? Can I take a picture with you?" I was like, "Oh yeah, just not the kids, like." But they thought that was so. They're like, "Why do you want a picture with our dad?" Like it was just like they were teasing me about it the whole week, and anyways, like stuff like that. But they love it. Like I just treat it like business trips. Like we're trying to decide. I don't really have much of a desire to like, we might go to Nashville at some point. I'd rather like live in West Virginia if I had my choice of the two. Cause like, I don't feel like I need to be there in town every single day to do the music thing. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people are doing it outside of living there. I'd rather my kids have the stability and then I can like travel as I need to travel. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I mean, that's what my dad did when we were growing up. We just lived in a small town called Canton right outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And he was
Oh
just
yeah.
back and
Yeah.
forth to Nashville, all the time. He's
Yeah.
actually playing the Opry in December. So I need
Oh,
to
oh
hook you
man.
up with that. Um
Your dad's a rock star. I like I know like that band like Balsam Range. It's like so good. So
yeah,
good.
they're really amazing. And he's just like my hero in life. So but yeah, I definitely, Mountain Stage, I feel like Appodlachia could pull a couple of strings there for you. We could
Yeah,
put in a good
yeah,
word.
I feel like that's gonna happen. Like I've been fortunate enough to do a couple of things with the state of West Virginia's tourism board this year. So like
Yeah.
I played at like the governor's tourism conference in Huntington. That was super fun. And like literally like Monday I was in Louisville for this like Southern States tourism thing, and I played for like the lunch and everything, and it was really fun. So like anyways. I think between like some of the connections, and then I think also with like an album coming out, like it's a little bit easier to do. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see. But I
That's
would just love to
awesome.
do it. I know I could fill it up too, because like all friends and family would be so much fun. So it'd be a good
Yeah,
time.
yeah. It would be like 100% just like
It'd be
just like
a
relative.
bunch of like loud Lebanese people. Like, yes, for sure.
Incredible, incredible. So
Yes.
Art, to wrap up our conversation, if
Mhm.
people want to support you, when does the album come out? How can they get it? How can they contribute to your work and your mission?
Yeah, that I love it. So I don't have a release date for the album yet. I'm going to be doing the bulk of the recording like literally like next week. So like we'll work through all of that. But I have a ton of stuff available anywhere you get music. So Spotify, Amazon, whatever, iTunes, however you do your thing, I'm out there. Just look for my name, Philip Bowen with one L. And that's my real last name. No pun. It's true. It's Bowen is my last name. And then all my links are on my website, but getting close to 1 million on TikTok. So if you want to come by there and give us a follow, that's awesome. Instagram, however you do your thing, we're there. Come say hello. And if you want to support, like I do live shows most of the time. If I'm not traveling, I do like live shows Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I do those on Twitch and TikTok usually. And I do about a 2 hour show, sometimes a 3 hour show, just depends on what's going on. Sometimes I have like guest artists come in to the studio and like do it with me and all that kind of stuff. And then I'll be posting some live dates for 2023 here soon. I'll put those on my website. So hopefully I'll be in Nashville a couple times, hoping to do some stuff in West Virginia. So we'll see how it
Awesome.
goes.
Well, Philip, thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us. I'm just so thrilled that we finally got you on the
Same.
show,
Yeah,
and
same.
that we have, it's so clear that like you're now a friend of the show. You have all the same goals that we do.
Exactly. Well, I always would tell, especially like podcast things, and like typically my answer is like if they say like if we're like a West Virginia based, like I did the guys from Mountaineer Media like when last year, and I'll just like I'm like anything for West Virginia. You let me know, I will be there. So it's a real joy to talk to you. I really admire what y'all are doing, and it's super fun. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.